Well, good evening, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster coming back here once again. I'm here to give you guys kind of a brief YouTube video going over the potential seeing severe weather as we get towards the day on Saturday here. I'm going to be going over the risk. I'm going to be going over just a little bit about, model guidance and stuff like that and the things that you can do given that you're still 3 days out here. So, first and foremost, I want to kind of talk to you guys about this graphic here. I know a lot of people's anxiety is still through the roof. You got to realize something. The last two events we've had have been moderate risk plus. We've been dealing with tornado outbreaks. You had the tornado that went through Little Rock. You had Wynne, Arkansas, and stuff like that. So anytime someone hears severe weather, the first thing they're going to think is, oh man, we're going to get this EF3 tornado or whatever. It's not going to be the case. So make sure over the next 2 days, take tonight, take tomorrow, to kind of go over severe weather plans that could be preparing in advance. Make sure you know where to go when severe weather strikes. Make sure you have that game plan ready to go. That way, if we do see, an upgrade to Saturday's severe weather threat, you're not caught off guard. You know what to expect here. Also, make sure you have multiple warning sources and stuff like that. You guys know full well. We have us here at Arkansas Weather Watchers. You go on Facebook, you go on YouTube. If you have an Android phone, we do have a mobile app. If you have Android phone right now, we're still trying to get the Apple side up and running here. But that's the biggest thing. And also, one more thing I want to stress is knowing your local geography. What do I mean by geography? I mean knowing where your counties are and knowing where your surrounding counties are. So, the weather center is based out of Pulaski County. Pulaski County's here, and then Saline County, and then, the other counties. So make sure you know your county and your surrounding counties, easily the 4 to 5 surrounding counties you have around you. That way, if a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning or a tornado watch or something like that gets issued, you know what to do. And also, it will help you guys out with the graphics as well, because I know with the last event, a lot of people were getting confused, not knowing where they were, and that's potentially dangerous. So you got to know where you are on those graphics. You got to know where you live, folks. That's the biggest thing here. Also, if you want to learn more about storms, contact us. And then also, of course, once we get towards Saturday, make sure you're tracking up with those radar updates, and we're kind of revamping everything on our graphic side in terms of like the Futurecast and stuff like that. So we'll have that posted on here once the time comes here. Now, let's talk to you guys about one more thing before I get into the weather about Saturday is tornadoes and road safety. I'm going over these safety tips first. That way you guys have a game plan. You're 3 days out. Some people don't even know Saturday is coming right now because it hasn't been real advertised or anything like that. So if you're planning on traveling on Saturday, I know northeastern Arkansas in particular, we got a lot of baseball games going on up there. We have a lot of stuff going on. So if you're planning on traveling on Saturday, pay attention to the weather. If any severe thunderstorm warnings or any tornado warnings get issued, make sure you know where to go. So if you have a certain route in place, make sure you're scouting out any gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, or anything like that. That way you can stay ahead of the storm here, okay? So let's talk about Saturday's severe weather threat. Right now, it is a slight risk. Like I said, folks, I don't like putting labels on severe weather because of the fact that we've seen this time and time again where it starts off as a low threat, ends up somewhat a bigger threat down the road. So it is a slight risk for right now for much of central and eastern Arkansas. I do feel as though this will likely get expanded to the west, and I do believe there will be an introduction of an enhanced risk possibly for central and eastern Arkansas. We'll get more into that coming up here in just a little bit, but I do feel this coming. And for those that are wondering that know me personally, this kind of fits the build because this is my birthday weekend, so it fits the build that we'll be dealing with severe weather on this weekend. But on a serious note, we will have to watch out for this as we get towards Saturday. And also, one more thing going on with Saturday, we do have the day 3 hatched area for the potential of very large hail. We're talking baseball-sized hail or greater, especially across central Arkansas. And I do feel as this will get further expanded to the west, and you may see higher probabilities as time draws closer here. So make sure you stay weather aware and make sure you keep up with this over the next couple of days here. Okay, now let's talk about community model guidance. You guys know full well the timing is above my head. Let's talk about the NAM model real quickly here. Now this is Friday night, 9 p.m. Not much is going to be going on tomorrow. If you have any plans tomorrow evening or anything like that, you're going to be just fine. Western Arkansas, there were some concern about the potential of some severe weather over here a few days ago. That has since died off, given the fact that the system is much slower coming our way here. So you can see out here towards central Kansas, central Oklahoma, you're going to have to watch this line of storms that's going to attempt to make its way to Arkansas, but it's not fully going to make it because of the nocturnal aversion here. So we can take this out all the way through, and you can see by the time we get towards 3 a.m., the line of storms that's in central Kansas is just fading out. It's going to leave an outflow boundary, and this outflow boundary will need to be watched on Saturday, because this could be an initiation point for showers and thunderstorms as we get towards Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening here. Now, let's take this out a little bit further. You can see a little bit of activity first thing Saturday morning. Nothing major. This is not going to wipe out your severe weather threat at all. But what I will say here is once we get towards that 3 p.m. time frame here, and I'm going to show you what the instability coming up here in just a little bit. Here's your boundary beginning to make its way into central Oklahoma and eastern Oklahoma here. And by this point, let's take a look at our instability. Very, very unstable here in Arkansas. I mean, you've got instability values well into the 3,000 range, easily in the 4,000 range over here in western Arkansas. So any storms that pop up in this environment is going to be very, very conducive for severe weather. Talking about the potential of large hail, potentially very large hail, damaging winds, and I cannot rule out the potential of a few tornadoes. I'm going to get into the tornado risk coming up here in just a little bit, but you can see about 3 o'clock, there's your boundary coming into eastern Oklahoma. And then you can see by the time we get into western Arkansas, this is about 4 o'clock. So the time is above my head, it's about 4 o'clock. You can see, look over here, northwestern Arkansas, some pockets of 4,000 instability. That is a lot of energy in place for these thunderstorms to work with. And you can see even in central and eastern Arkansas, still a ton of energy to work with. You know, the grand minimum is about 500 for severe weather. So we're at 2,800, 3,000, 4,000. That's well more than enough to support severe weather across our area here. So make sure we keep that plan in motion as we get towards Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. A lot of people are going to be doing a lot of stuff in terms of sports, outdoor plans, and stuff like that. It's going to be very warm on Saturday, so make sure you keep this in mind for Saturday afternoon and the Saturday evening here. Now, let's talk to you guys about the radaring. This is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see some of these cells are starting to pop up across northwestern Arkansas, southwestern Missouri, northeastern Texas, right through here. And I would put your timing right now anything after 4 p.m. So if you're listening to this video trying to figure out specific timing, I'd say anything after 4 p.m. on Saturday, you need to be ready for potential of some significant severe weather, especially across central Arkansas at this point. So you can see by 4 p.m. there's your supercell development over here. If we take this out to 5 p.m., you can see some storms really starting to go up across northwestern Arkansas, southwestern Missouri, eastern and southeastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas. These storms over here are going to be capable of producing very large hail, the potential of damaging winds, and I cannot throw out the potential of a tornado or two, especially across this area here. Like I said, there's going to be some refinements with this severe weather outlook coming up over the next 2 days here. So make sure you're staying with us as we get towards the day on Saturday here. Now let's take this out to 6 p.m. on Saturday here. And you can see there's your line of storms stretching from southwestern Missouri, western Arkansas, all the way down to northeastern Texas here. These storms will likely be severe. Like I said before, we have a lot of energy that we're going to have to work with as we get towards the day on Saturday here. I'm very concerned about the health threat. The health threat is going to be probably the priority number one as we get towards Saturday here. Then your damaging wind threat, and I will say this, if this stays supercellular long enough and you have just enough helicity, we could be talking about a potential tornado threat with this as well. So this is about 6 p.m. Let's take this out to 7. You can see from Harrison to Russellville down towards Hot Springs to Texarkana. Basically a line of thunderstorms, basically a line of severe thunderstorms. We'll have to wait and see what happens with this. You know, the high-risk dam is trying to break this up into little cells, which we don't want because that would support a very large hail threat and also the tornado threat here. So make sure we're keeping an eye on that. But you can see basically from Russellville to Harrison all the way down to Hot Springs to Texarkana, and then you can see by the time we get towards 8 o'clock, now this is going to get a little interesting, especially for folks here in Central Arkansas. This is going to go into what we call a line segment. And one thing I will say regarding the tornado threat, because I know everybody's trying to tune in, trying to figure out, is this going to produce a tornado outbreak or anything like that. You need these numbers to come up, okay? This is what we call the helicity. This is the 0 to 1 kilometer helicity, and it's about 100. With the last two events, we've had numbers 300, 400, 500. This time around, we have 100. So that's why we're not holding too much on the tornado threat, because the tornado threat is heavily dependent on this helicity. Now, 0 to 3 kilometer is a little bit beefier. We're talking about 200 to 300 across the area here. And let's go back over to the helicity. It's going to be the 0 to 1 kilometer. So let me go back here. I showed you guys the wrong product here. So that's the biggest thing I want to kind of stress to you guys right now, is to make sure that we're taking the hail threat and the damaging wind threat seriously, because the tornado threat is there, but it's not going to be significant. Now, like I said before, I'm not saying it's going to be, a 0 tornado threat, nothing's going to happen, but I would definitely keep an eye on this helicity. This helicity would be 100. It's not really going to get the job done, but we shall see. You can see some localized areas, 200 plus and stuff like that, so you have to watch it. And then as you get later into the night, your low level jet really starts to increase, your helicity starts to increase. Keep an eye on eastern Arkansas. I think if there were to be a tornado threat on Saturday, if there were to be any sort of tornado threat with these storms, it's probably going to go from this area over here. Let me see if I can draw this out for you guys. It's going to be basically right through here. This is the area of concern I would have going forward. If there were to be a tornado threat, it'd be from central Arkansas over to eastern Arkansas. This is the area because of the timing getting here late in the evening, going into the nighttime hours, the low level jet really starts to increase. That would be the area of concern. That would be the area I would see to have some sort of tornado threat. Even if it's a very low end tornado threat, I can see some sort of tornado threat trying to materialize out of this. But something that we'll keep an eye on is going to be the very large hail threat and the damaging wind threat. And remember, severe weather is not biased to just tornadoes at all. I mean, we don't go live for just tornadoes. Damaging winds can be just as bad. Especially, let's go back over to our instability for just a little bit. Especially with this amount of instability, let's back this up all the way through. This is 6 p.m. You've got 28, 29, 3,000, upwards to 3,500 CAPE across the state. You have a lot of storms charging into that energy. It's going to produce a lot of wind. You're talking 70 to 80, even in some cases up to 90 mile per hour winds. So keep that in mind. It's not just a tornado threat. Severe weather is not just tornadoes. Damaging winds can be just as bad as dealing with a tornado threat, and also the very large hail threat. If you start talking baseball-sized hail and stuff like that, with people outside, with people doing plans and stuff like that during the afternoon, evening hours on Saturday, that could be potentially life-threatening. So keep that in mind. The large hail threat is there as well, and also the damaging wind threat. The tornado threat is kind of taking a back seat with this event for now. We're going to monitor it closely because the environment is going to be very unstable, and all you need is just a little bit more helicity, and that's where you'll have the potential of seeing the tornado threat try to materialize out of this. I think central and eastern Arkansas will probably be your best shot if there were to be some sort of tornado threat here, guys. So that's all I got for you guys this evening. Like I mentioned before, we'll have more information on the page as we get towards tomorrow, with the day 2 update coming out tonight and also at lunch tomorrow. And then obviously we'll be here on Saturday. Like I mentioned before, I do fully anticipate this to go enhanced risk, mainly for large hail and damaging winds. The tornado threat is going to take a backseat with this one for now, but we're going to continue to get you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.